Hey, brilliant minds in the making. Do you ever feel like your brain is stuck in first gear when you're trying to study? Well, fear not, my friends. Today, we're diving into the study habits of history's biggest brainiacs. We're talking Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, the whole intellectual dream team. Did you know Einstein didn't speak fluently until he was 4 years old? Teachers thought he'd never be smart. Talk about proving them wrong. He went on to revolutionize our understanding of the universe. That's like saying you can't ride a bike, then inventing a rocket ship. It just goes to show you. Never underestimate the power of a curious mind. Now let's get this learning party started. Alright, future geniuses, let's talk strategy. Have you ever tried to stuff an entire pizza into your mouth at once? Messy, right? Your brain feels the same way when you try to cram a ton of information all at once. That's where our buddy Albert Einstein comes in. He once said, "You cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it." Now he wasn't talking about pizza, but he was onto something big. He was talking about breaking down big problems into smaller, more manageable bites. Think of it like this: instead of trying to conquer Mount Everest in one giant leap, you take it one step at a time. The same goes for studying. Instead of trying to cram an entire textbook into your brain, break your study sessions into smaller, more digestible chunks. This is where the mighty Pomodoro technique comes in. This technique is as simple as it gets. 25 minutes of focused studying followed by a 5-minute break. During those 25 minutes, you're fully immersed in your notes, your textbook, whatever you're conquering that day. Then, bam! 5 glorious minutes of freedom. Get up, stretch, grab a drink, do a little dance, whatever helps your brain reset. And speaking of resetting, did you know that Einstein was a big fan of walking? He believed that moving his body helped to move his thoughts. He was known to pace back and forth while deep in thought, like a scientist possessed by a brilliant idea. So if you're feeling stuck on a problem, don't just sit there like a statue. Get up and move around. Take a walk, do some jumping jacks, chase your dog around the yard. Whatever it takes to get your blood pumping and your brain buzzing. Now let's step into the laboratory of the incredible Nikola Tesla, a man who could practically see the future of technology. Tesla was a master of visualization. Before he ever built his inventions in the real world, he built them in the workshop of his mind. He'd imagine every nut, bolt, and spark down to the tiniest detail. And guess what? It worked. Now you might be thinking, Bill, I'm no Tesla. And you know what? You're right, you're you. But that doesn't mean you can't harness the power of visualization. Picture this. Instead of just reading words on a page, you create a movie in your mind. Let's say you're studying the circulatory system. Instead of memorizing dry facts, imagine yourself shrinking down to the size of a blood cell, hitching a ride on a red blood cell, and taking a wild ride through the arteries and veins. The more senses you can involve, the more vivid the image will be, and the more likely you are to remember it. It's like creating your own personal brain-boosting blockbuster. Alright, knowledge seekers, it's time to tap into your inner child. Remember when you were little and the world was full of wonder? Every day was like a grand experiment, and the most important word in your vocabulary was, why? Well, guess what? That insatiable curiosity is the secret sauce of learning. Even Einstein, the ultimate genius, believed that asking questions was the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. He was famous for his Gedanken experiments, or thought experiments, where he'd ponder questions like, what would it be like to ride on a beam of light? These weren't just idle musings. They were the seeds that blossomed into his groundbreaking theories. So how do you channel your inner Einstein? Simple. Before you even crack open a textbook, grab a piece of paper and write down every single question that pops into your head about the topic. Don't censor yourself. No question is too basic or too silly. The goal is to ignite your curiosity and put your brain into discovery mode. Let's say you're about to dive into the fascinating world of photosynthesis. You might ask, why are plants green? How do they turn sunlight into food? Can I make my own photosynthesis factory at home? Okay, maybe that last one is a bit ambitious, but you get the idea. By actively engaging with the material, you're transforming yourself from a passive recipient of information into an active explorer of knowledge. So keep those questions coming, my friends, and never lose your sense of wonder. Alright, Brainiacs, it's time to talk about everyone's favorite subject, sleep. Now you might be thinking, sleep? But Bill, sleep is for the weak. I've got too much studying to do. And while I admire your dedication, let me tell you, pulling an all-nighter is about as effective as trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach. You might start strong, but you'll crash and burn before you reach the finish line. Now I know what you're thinking, but Bill, what about Tesla? Didn't he only sleep 2 hours a night? Well, yes he did, but you know what else? That's not exactly something to aspire to. In fact, it probably contributed to his eventual breakdown. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity, like oxygen and pizza. It's when your brain processes all the information you've thrown at it during the day, like a mental janitor tidying up after a particularly rowdy study session. So, how much sleep should you be getting? Well, everyone's different, but most experts recommend aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night. And no, scrolling through social media in bed doesn't count as quality sleep. Make sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet, and try to establish a regular sleep schedule. Your brain will thank you for it. Now, if you're feeling really drained, there's no shame in a little power nap. Even Tesla, the king of burning the midnight oil, was a fan of what he called micro-sleeps. So there you have it, future geniuses. The secrets of history's greatest minds are now at your fingertips. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about finding what works best for you. So, experiment with these techniques, have fun with them, and don't be afraid to think outside the box. After all, that's what geniuses do. And speaking of thinking outside the box, did you know that Einstein was an avid violinist? He believed that playing music helped him to relax, to clear his mind, and to approach problems from a fresh perspective. So don't be afraid to nurture your creativity, whether it's through music, art, dance, or whatever sets your soul on fire. Now, go forth and unleash your inner genius. And don't forget to subscribe for more brain-boosting tips and tricks. Until next time, stay curious.